lane to play for, having reliable backline engage as well, specifically perhaps the Kaiser for SMLC as well. I'd much rather love to see him on an aggressive AD carry rather on the facilitating style like the Jhin, because it just falls flat most often.
That's the thing, going into this champion select and seeing, right now, we have a lot of jungle bans on the side of V5, because Hacker and ZS, I would argue, are some of the best players for this Ultra Prime team. When you see them tend to succeed, it's really off the back of how they played topside, how they've been able to get ZS these early kills, these early rotations out of Hacker as well, which is why I understand what V5 have done, but at the same time, they left Rumble completely alone.
Yeah, not only Rumble, I feel like the likes of Set is also one of these champions we've seen be first picked a lot, and with V5 going for Viego Estral rotation, I can't really see what's stopping Ultra Prime for just getting set as that set. Yeah, I think that is going to be the case, but can already kind of see it on the style that they want to go for V5. They want to keep Kepler on the Estral. They had decent success against BLG, and they perhaps want to play for the solo lanes instead. So I think that's what we're looking for. While Ultra Prime, obviously with an AP jungler, you allow yourself to get some of these AD mid laners and top laners instead. So now you could just handshake the Estral with a Kaiser, get the AD carry in for SMLC while you still can, and get kind of this free scaling we often talk about. Or you can try and focus on a support where you still want the Leona or something else that you don't want your enemy to get.
But this will be curious to see this Lucian locked in, because you had already talked about the AD that is necessary for Ultra Prime. But and while I do like Lucian, I think he's a very powerful champion. The blind Lucian here, trying to see if it is going to go against that Viego mid lane, against Uniboy, is pretty much gambling that is what it's going to be. But they immediately just rotated around and say, all right, Uniboy, here's Rise, here's a scaling champion to make sure that we can outlast and out-survive.
Yeah, it's scaling at the same time, but it also just spikes on two items in the mid game, like the Estral. So right now you have two champions that's very much the same stylistic moving forward here into this mid game. So I think that's what you're already looking for V5, and then you're looking for something to stabilize the early game as well, something to actually get you even into the mid game, because you do have some skirmishing power already now. But going into this second ban phase, as we talked about, AD carries are left open still, so I expect V5 to ban some of them away. They start out with Kalista. You can even remove the Kaiser if you feel like that was such a big threat, or some of the others like the Senna, which we know is still a decent weak side there at the moment.
But here, instead of going for the
Varus.
Varus is one of those incredibly powerful champions on 11-12. We've seen him pretty much be the most hotly contested ADC. Ezreal, some players like to be able to fall back onto that, the Kalista as well. But Varus has so much power, especially into something that struggles to be able to clear out, like this Ezreal, which makes me wonder what UP are going to do to answer it. We've seen SMLC play that Kog'Maw. Do they just go for the Kog'Maw Lulu bot lane here?
I feel like that would have some value going in with Lucian as well, as you have a double AD carry. You could see something paired up with the Braum as well, depending on what V5 is going to lock in on this one. And if Leona is that pick, you could quite clearly go for the Braum. You get the double value of having two ranged AD carries in the background. I think that's a good pick going into this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It's making it so that they're set up for the skirmishes, for the team fights, the chaotic nature that Ultra Prime like to play around. Where this is something that we have seen from them many times, not necessarily the Braum itself, but how they try to build compositions to be able to thrive in a team fight in a very chaotic manner. And if that Ziggs is actually locked in for SMLZ here, that is a surprise change-up, but it still plays into this aggressive mid-game style.
It's not the first time we see SMLC do this. He's already played Ziggs one time in the past, not with the biggest success. And it's interesting because he is usually this AD carry player you always talk about, but going onto a limb and going on the weak side here with the Ziggs is most certainly going to be interesting. You already do have some AP paired up with the Rumble. Obviously, having two AP champions when Rumble has this extra magic penetration on his Electro Harpoon doesn't matter all too much, but obviously it's still something to factor. And this does mean now that what Ultra Prime wants to do with their composition is leave this bot lane by themselves, just keep this wave shoved in, have this Tahm Kench as a safety net, and make sure you can get priority for some objectives if you want to, and then you're playing for the top side of the map, then you're playing for the Lucian, then you're playing for the set here. That's what you're looking for.
Oh man, I'm a little bummed by V5. Sure, yeah, you don't talk about the hovers, they were just kind of cycling through everything, but I wanted something spicy from them. You're a team that's at the bottom, you need to be able to shake things up, really prove everyone that you're going to be able to have that late season bloom. But here, if they grab this Volibear, it still could be flexed depending on how they want to be able to play this. They could have Elias onto Viego or Volibear, but I'm expecting it to stay exactly how it is right here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's going to be the skirmishing power you're looking for. In top side of the map, there's a lot of skirmishing for both teams really here going into it. Obviously, we took a look at both team composition. I think that the composition of Ultra Prime, you got decently more to play for in like the very early game that we talk about. Set can be very hard to skirmish again just because of the CC and how much damage the Haymaker can bring to the table is when you don't have too much damage for the opponents to actually burn him down. And then on the other side instead, I feel like you just need like that one item for the Viego or the skirmishing power with the Volibear where you can CC chain it to look for it. So very much early game based around junglers. I'd say in the beginning you need to start a snowball for one of your solo laners to kind of carry you on moving forward, because both AD carries right now with the 6 and with the Ezreal are going to be fine heading into the mid game. They don't need to do much in this early game. They're just waiting for a 2-item power spike, and then you can start being part of the team. So in the early game, we're looking towards the jungler and we're looking towards them facilitating their solo laners.
Both teams load up into game one. The backs are at the wall. They are at the bottom of the barrel in the LPL. The strongest split we have seen in China. And both these teams would love to be able to prove everyone wrong and start to have the late season bloom. We're halfway through. You gotta start now. Otherwise, it's gonna be way too late to ever be able to come back.
And here we are, going on towards it. Hacker starting with a sweeper. I think it's just because they noticed that there is an early ward being placed down in the red side jungle, and when you start the sweeper, you give it to your solo laners. They will actually share the XP. You share the XP of the wards you kill, and then you can get your solo laner to get level 2 on the first wave, which will always give them extra pressure. So what I'd expect to see from the side of Ultra Prime is that they'd actually move up and try and clear it, perhaps. But junglers right now both starting up towards that bottom side of the map, which means they will be moving up towards top side of the map. So top side skirmish around Scuttle could be a possibility when we reach that 3-minute mark later into the game.
And look at this play in from the bot lane of Ultra Prime to be able to get a little bit of an extra control over PZX, understanding that this jungler, it's the 5-minute mark we have seen from him throughout this season. Whenever he plays, he always looks for that early play, and we have said that if V5 have had it their way, they'd end games after 5 minutes, because that's always when they have the lead.
Oh, it for sure is. And you know, Volibear PZX here, he's not gone for press the attack or any congros like that. He's went for the Predator, all right? He is there to just run in your face. So as soon as first backers come through and we're looking for boots, well, that's where you're probably looking for V5 to start some of these skirmishes. Especially
because we expect that PZX wants to have that play early on. He wants to be able to get some control. I like this bot lane, SMLZ, Shao C, exerting a lot of pressure over Kepler, over Reheal. It is a really difficult lane for Ezreal and Leona to be able to deal with, just because Ziggs by himself is able to do so much to constantly harass, and amazing clear speed from Ziggs that Ezreal can never really keep up with.
Yeah, 100%. We can see here now PZX has skipped some camps as well. So there was potential for him to move up here with the priority of the top side of the map to try and get some intel onto Hacker in the jungle. But it seems like he's going to be clearing his Raptor. He is spotted out on Vision here. And then with Scuttle spawning in no less than 10 seconds at this point, with the mid lane priority now, with the top lane priority, it should be PZX just picking up this Scuttle crap, and then after that he could immediately run down towards the bot side of the map, while as Uniboy takes a very favorable trade that should net him that priority.
Nice play coming in from Uniboy, and you can see that Hacker understands that the top lane play that they normally try to go for to try to see if they can set up ZS is just not a reality. There's not really much they can do. He has to completely fall back, peels immediately for the bottom half of the map because that is the only lane where they have any sort of priority, and they want to make sure there's not going to be the double scuttle that could potentially have had happened.
Yeah, I feel like PZX could have pressed his luck a little bit there, just
I'm glad
due to
he
the
did.
fact
I'm glad
that
he did.
SMLC
Wait, I don't want to see that.
I mean, SMLC very low on mana here in the Ezreal. Like, if you wanted to fight some skirmishes here, this could have been the point in time to do it with mid-prior as well. But they take it very slow. They don't want to risk anything.
Goldberg, I don't know if you saw the games yesterday, but we had that happen at Game 1. That happened with, I believe that was the Rare Adam series in JDG, where Kanavi thought he had all this pressure. He got the top scuttle, immediately went to bot scuttle, and died. So I did not want to see that.
Speaking of going bot, though, PZX did just pick up the Ionian boots, so movement speed pretty much as fast as you're going to get with the Predator now as well. And he's just coming from lane gank here. So with the flash available, with the Leona here, with Xiaoxi.
Low Kepler is, though, even with the Zenith Blade connecting on Xiaoxi. They have to be so careful. They already have the Ignite, but that is going to be the flash away. Here's Hacker to try to be able to help out with the thick skin, keeping Xiaoxi alive. The flash coming in, Reheal has to try to get away. He's burning low, but at least he had the bodyguard of PZX to make sure the bot lane of V5, they should be able to escape.
Yeah, and they don't burn too many summoners themselves. Yeah, they get the summoners out of Reheal, but summoners are blown from the side of Hager and from the side of Xiaoxi, while AD carry Kepler and PZX not investing too much into that one. It was just a Predator. So pressure gained again from Kepler. He gets to let the minion wave kind of get to an even state. SMLC, though, did just kind of juggle the wave a bit, which makes sure that it's going to be a slight slow push, but there we go. Kepler with the TP is just going to be able to push it out immediately, and it's just going to be responded from the side of SMLC. So now we're just back to standard laning phase while the junglers are moving up towards the top side of the map.
And looking to see if possibly the play will be on to either Alliance or on to ZS, where normally we see both these junglers always try to actually have that first gank be successful. The bot lane, I gotta praise Hacker for being in the right place, right time, but like you said, it still was UP who came out on the short end of the stick. More summoners blown on their side, which is going to give PZX a big advantage when looking for this top side play.
I feel like, though, we could see Reheal get a bit more influence on the map when the opponent jungler is towards the top side if you spot it on Vision, just due to the fact that you have Ezreal right here. They have Tahm Kench 6. It's not the lane with the most kill pressure just yet, and at least not before the 6 hit level 6 himself. So it would have been very nice to see them try to create some skirmishes and get some man advantages with the Ezreal down there as well. When you leave it, oh, well, that's a big trade when you can shift it. But either way, when you're just locked under your turret like this, Reheal's got nothing to do. Like, the state of this lane is still going to be the same. If Reheal is here, Kepler is still just going to get poked down like this.
I feel like SNLZ has heat-seeking missiles on those bouncing bombs because Kepler has been eating every single one of them. It has been looking brutal. It is difficult for the side of V5 because across the map, every single lane now is getting shoved in. They have to be a little bit more cautious on how they want to play with this. Even though PZX might be able to make this play into the bot lane, he is trying to see if they can catch out SNLZ maybe a little bit too far out, but Xiaoxi is being wise and trying to secure some vision control. Should be able to spot out the fact that here's PZX going to dodge away from the Zenith Blade. Sky Splitter getting a lot of damage. Thick skin to be able to keep alive, but the Realm Warp in from Uniboy. It's going to be the equalizer, but it doesn't matter. First Blood was still picked up by Kepler.
Yeah, and there we go. No TPs to come through either from the top side of the map. Uniboy's already there with the Realm Warp. They had the priority from the mid lane, and there's nothing to do from the side of Ultra Prime. Really nice pickup there from PZX, who's very patient. Oh, and waits around for Xiaoxi, because SMLC, he would have just been able to bounce away with the little W. He would have been able to just get away with the flash. But the fact that Xiaoxi takes a path around River opens up that play for them.
Makes it so they have that nice play, getting the kill and gifting over the gold to Kepler. Since he's already falling behind in CS, which is expected into this lane, you want to see if you can funnel as much gold as possible into this Ezreal. Because if you look at V5, you talked about before, the 2-item spike across the board for V5 is going to be what they all are looking forward to.
This is definitely an early game you're happy with if you're V5. And here we get the replay against Xiaoxi in a path around the river with no flash. And despite a nice little sidestep, it's just not going to be enough. Had this been SMLC, he would have been able to get away with the little bounce from the bomb. He would have been able to flash. But the problem is, once again, Chelsea, the one who had already burned his summoners from the gang formerly from PZX, it's just easy pickings when he comes around like that.
And the fact that still PZX did not have to flash in order to make that play a reality. Being able to hold that just for any other play that soon is going to fall the side of Ultra Prime means that this Volver has got so much that he's now able to do with the fact that picking up the Rift Herald on that as well. They have control of so much of this river. V5 are in an excellent position despite the fact that they are slightly down in gold.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's also when you build in this scaling as well as we already talked about, like how these composition functions against each other, you're not too sad about being at this point in time. Like as you said, like it's not even 1,000 gold separating the two teams here, and Viego set, two champions haven't really been able to do much so far, but as soon as they start getting in on the fray, Viego, Allies, if he starts getting these resets in these fights as well, it just makes the situation even harder for Ultra Prime. And here we go, PZX top side.
And Zed, as he's taking a lot of damage, flashed away. Here's the Stormbringer to be able to drag him back in and pick up the kill for Allies.
And there we go. Once again, PZX. It's been all around him on the map so far. Wherever he is, that's where they're able to pick up these resources. And now with Rift Herald in hand, they should be able to get a few things done down here as well. They're actually just going to deploy it immediately. So what is the response going to be on the other side of the map? We can already see Hacker has moved down towards the spot side while the top side is being cleared. And he's just not looking for a dive. He's going to look for the Drake instead.
I think that's a smart
I feel like the Rift Herald was deployed a little too early here. I felt like he could have waited one more plate so you had more value in the true damage. So they won't get the tower so far, but actually...
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I was just, I agree with you. The eye was popped way too early by V5, and I was about to praise them. This is a great early game coming in from V5 on how they're playing this one. This is looked like a completely different face of this team, except the minor mistakes. They needed to make sure they could secure that first tower because we knew that SMLC on this Ziggs was going to take that turret at any moment. In fact, once that happened, once they were able to get the pushback onto Kepler, they were able to get that without even losing the top lane turret.
And you know, SMLC, you take a look at the inventory right now, he's already sitting at this Leandries as well, so he's just going to be doing so much damage in an extended scenario. And we talked about reliable backline damage from the side of Ultra Prime. When you get to the mid game, you just need to be that reliable frontliner. You just need to take the burst at the set, poke them down with the Haymaker, and then have the HP bars low enough for SMLC to pick up the job.
As long as they're able to do that, it's going to be nice for Ultra Prime to at least fight back. But I'm curious to see where Ultra Prime themselves are going to be able to utilize this gold. You can see that they've swapped around, trying to put Shaoxi and SMLC into the top lane. Even if it has been answered by V5, they're still trying to see if they can scale up into this game. Try to see if they can get those items to be able to fight back against Ultra Prime, because every single time they are shoved back, they were the ones with that aggressive play, and they still have to retreat with nothing.
Yeah, the main advantage came through from Ultra Prime. You can see Allies just clearing down the bottom side himself, but up towards the top side of the map, you can start finding these skirmishes with the mid-lane priority that you've seen from Uniboy, and I think they're just going to start now. They're finding a pick onto Shaoxi.
Shaoxi does have the flash this time around, but he's stunned up for a long time. Flash over the wall. Here's the Stormbringer trying to chase him down with a Mystic Shot kill for Kepler.
And once again, it's Shaoxi in the river here. It's really easy for V5 to get priority, just due to the fact of how easy Uniboy pushes out mid lane. And question is, if another skirmish is going to arise here. No, he is just going to take a safe pathing instead. But here you see it once again. Uniboy with the priority, PZX still around the area, and 100% kill participation from PZX going into this first game now, 13 minutes in.
This is great. This is a good turnaround from V5 from how we've seen them in the past. And like I said, some of these plays, they're trying so aggressively to see if they catch out Ultra Prime. There's a lot of gold that has been picked up by members such as SMLZ. You can even see that Xiao Bao in mid lane has been able to hold a slight edge over Uniboy, because Uniboy has to rotate around if they want to try to be able to threaten a bit more, though PZX has been the catalyst for all these plays for V5 thus far.
Yeah, they really have. And we talked about him. He was out in the weekend. This time around, he swapped in, and it just seems like this guy is the star of V5 from when we saw earlier, when he was always on the sense out, to this time around now when he's on more facilitating champion, on towards the Volibear instead. So it really is on him to find these picks. I would love to see that Uniboy and him starts roaming around the map more as a collective unit, get the mid lane priority, move around as two. You have to realm warp, because right now you need to shut down SMLC. He just keeps your bot lane pushed in. He makes sure there's nothing to do, and now we see it in the mid lane.
Yeah, but with the Gale Force, the relentless pursuit, it's difficult to actually be able to get on top of this Lucian. And even if it's a play attempted on to Xiao Xiaobao, I am with you. I want it on SMLZ, not into this mid lane. I want to see Uniboy move around more. He's gone for an early stopwatch with the Hourglass build as opposed to going for what we've seen some other players do, which is the Luden's Tempest, just to be able to have a bit more mana fight around these early fights and these early skirmishes with the help of that tier. The Goddess here, he's just a bit more worried that he's not going to be able to survive against the members of UP.
Yeah, and I wonder what the call is going to be now with Drake spawning in 40 seconds and the positioning we're seeing right now from V5. It's looking like they just want to give up this second Drake, and I still think they can reliably do so. We talk about 2-item power spike. Right now, Kepler is already sitting on the Divine Sundra, but you're still looking to get that more mana to really hit that spike on towards the Ezreal. But I say that, and after watch Kepler pushed in the top side of the map, he's already moving down towards the bot side. So we could either see a trade of objectives with the Rift Herald being taken by V5, or them actually trying to contest this Drake moving forward.
Well, they all are here for V5, and we're about to have all 5 members of UP here too. Everyone is ready to rumble. The gold is nearly dead even, and it's ZS who finds the play first, looking for the Haymaker Shield to be able to survive with the Equalizer, getting a lot of damage. Even the Mega Inferno Bomb is going to be the first kill, going over to Kepler, finding the snipe, trying to see if they can get a little bit more poke from SMLZ, but the fact that they're able to take out the engaged tool for Ultra Prime V5, they want to make sure they can secure this Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything stopping them. Infernal Bomb already away from the 6 here, so there's not much to get in this situation. All ultimates were spent, but Kepler, extremely nice snipe onto ZS, and I think he was a bit betrayed by his teammates. It seemed like there was 4 members stacked there, and it seemed almost unreal that that Mystic shot was going to hit, but in the end, Kepler finding a nice angle to pick up the kill and let his team get this second Drake for themselves. In the top side of the map, Xiao Xiaobao should just let this turret fall.
Yep, there he is.
Because there's no one of V5 to pick up this gold right now. So there's no one who's getting the bonus gold. Right now, all the members are just getting the 50 base gold you usually get, and no one is picking up the local gold. So I like that going out from Xiao Xiaobao.
Completely agree. Good call in from Xiao Xiaobao to make sure that they don't have that damage put into the right targets. When we take a look at this replay, it also feels that the members of Ultra Prime weren't fully ready for ZS going in.
No, it also felt like Freeheal was a bit out of position, and I thought he was going to be taken down in the beginning. You can see they used every ultimate they had to try and kill him, but still not able to pick him up. He even gets out with the flash, and then, once again, it looked like the members from Ultra Prime was stacked on and ZS wasn't going to get hit by the Mystic shot, but Kepler finds the angle, which leads to the Infernal Drake. And now when objective wasn't cross-map, that means the Rift Herald is still a valid objective to fight for both teams, really.
It is. It's a good target for both teams, but I feel like it's V5 they're the ones in full control. Where right now all these members of Ultra Prime are trying to see if they can combat the push coming in from V5. They have excellent wave clear when you have Xiao Xiaobao and you have SMLZ both in the same spot. The biggest problem is we're already seeing the struggles of UP when it comes to how they want to be able to position for a lot of these fights.
Well, the thing is for UP right now, they love to play this extended. They love the fact that SMLC can just poke them down and make sure they're not going to be able to get to a fighting point. And then when they're low enough, then you can start the fight. That's kind of what we're looking at here from Ultra Prime. So if they start up this objective, you just want to poke V5 members down a little bit. And then, when you feel like you can go for the fight, when the HP bars are low enough, that's when you look for it. But for V5, you're looking for a turn. You're looking to get onto one of the carries.
You're looking for that, but I'm not seeing really any damage onto the V5 5 members at this moment. It's going to be the True Shot Barrage coming out. The smite secured. I think it's PZX who's able to pick it up, and he's able to just walk out of there escorted by his team with Ultra Prime watching on and all.
Yeah, Cedes wasn't in the vicinity. It was hard for them to just go for that engage. And also, SMLC didn't hit too much of that poke. So that engage we talked about coming through from Ultra Prime wasn't quite there. Realm Warp is being channeled.
Oh, but it's canceled. And here's the drawback in. They burst down, re-heal. The Equalizers are trying to split them up, but they're going to be able to gobble up Hacker to be able to survive the fight. Uniboy, he was not able to get enough damage. And at the play, even if it is just kind of the inches for UP, at least it's something.
I'm not too sure what happened with the decision-making there from V5. It looked like half of the team wanted to skirmish, half of them wanted to clear up the mid lane, and they kind of just got caught in between two flanks where Ultra Prime were able to pick up the kill there on towards Reheal, finally being caught out of position. So, yeah, nice pickup from Ultra Prime, but it felt like it was V5 that opted into it.
It did. It was a little awkward and clunky from the side of V5 because, honestly, I thought that the jump was V5's. They were the team that were going to be able to punish that Ultra Prime. Were so far pushed up in that mid lane, but like you said, they were not all on the same page.
But it's been still a fairly decent slow game between these. Like, we're coming 20 minutes into the game, and at this point in time, barely any outer turrets has been taken. They've both traded one of their top and bot turrets, but outside of that, there's not a lot of map to play around, and that's why the game can feel kind of stale going into this one, is that no team is allowed to move up aggressively. No team can move further than just the start of the river due to the fact that there are still two mid lane turrets standing here. There's not a lot of objective control you can actually gain from this, so for both teams right now, and I think specifically for Ultra Prime, what you're looking to do is just open up the map a bit more, because look at this poke coming through from Kepler as well now. He's starting to get scary, and you want to play on bigger flanks. You want to play on bigger space so you can utilize to poke the most.
Well, right now, you already see that it's the 2-item spike coming in from Kepler. He is going to be able to really harass these members of Ultra Prime, trying to make sure that he can combat them and push them away from this potential dragon. The stacking game could be another one that V5 want to be able to play around. They've got a lot of these 2-item sites starting to come online. And we already said that Kepler has this, but he needs the other members to be there as well, because right now, that Equalizer was completely eaten up and just spat back out by V5. They're still alive, even if a little bit battered and bruised. ZS, he had a little bit of a flank into the backline. The flash is coming in, and Kepler was not ready for that fight. They're going to be able to poke out these members. They got the kill onto Uniboy on the other side. UP continue to chase, look to see if they can take down these tanky members. All 5 members of UP are here, and V5, they've been completely split apart. The Abyssal Voyage, Elias trying to be able to get away, but he's punched to oblivion.
And there we go. That should be the Drake picked up from Ultra Prime. And finally, they play around with their composition here. They get the nice poke in. They get the Equalizer, not to finalize anyone, but to make sure the HP bars are low enough so they can't pick up the fight. And then meanwhile, all that is happening. Cedes with a beautiful flank coming in to finish it off completely, and they get their way back into this game of Ultra Prime from that little skirmish coming into it. It felt like V5 was the team who opted into that. It felt like they were the one who set up the priority, but still, it backfired on them.
Goldberg, it feels like 2 times in a row there's just a miscoordination for V5 when it comes to these fights.
And often I feel like it's coming from Reheal. This is like the 3rd time in a row we've seen him come out of position. PZX had to tank up the culling, and meanwhile all that happened. Cedes came in from that beautiful flank we talked about. The vision control wasn't quite there just yet. Objective was a bit rushed, and I felt as soon as the members got low from V5, they started to get distressed. They still opt in for starting the objective, and as soon as they do that, they're finalizing their own demise in that team fight.
Also, Kepler was completely split off from the team, and he was the one with the spike for the team. He was the one to be able to finish off that Muramana. You need to be able to have this Ezreal doing that damage, like you were talking about SMLZ doing to V5. It's pretty much the similar story for V5 towards UP.
Yeah, it completely is, and it's just about these AD carries now towards the back line of the front. The fact Uniboy was singled out in that fight as well meant he never got all that AoE damage you're able to get on the Ryze. You never got that kite back that you really wanted in that situation, and all in all, the setup just, you know, it wasn't there. The fact that the ZS was able to just flank without any one of your team actually knowing it kind of finalized your deal there. So moving forward on towards the next objectives, you want to make sure that the vision control is just spot on, so you're not being flanked from setup towards the bottom again, or the top side of the map, or wherever he's going to come from. Because right now with both teams, they're still very much even. There's only 1k gold separating them, and they still have carries to play for. You also still have the Viego if you get onto the back line from the side of V5, who's going to be able to do a lot of work on the enemy carries. So right now on both teams, they still can win and lose this game.
Plus, we're seeing the members of V5 finally complete those second item spikes. The Sterix Gauge in from Elias. You've got the Spirit Visage for PZX. We're just waiting for Uniboy to be able to complete his as well so they can have everything. But now they are the ones forcing this fight. And PZX takes so much damage. He's forced to ult away, but it's immediately followed up by ZS. A huge punch over the wall to be able to take down the Baron reheal. You're a bad spot, right, friend? It's a double kill for Seth. He is truly the boss right now.
And once again, it's just kind of a mixed call coming in from V5. You didn't have the mid lane priority. You opted into skirmish around anyway, trying to pick up some of this vision. And once again, you see what the composition of Ultra Prime is able to do. It's the fact that the members are being poked down by the Equalizer, by the Colin, by the ultimate coming out from 6. And then ZS once again in a flanking position where he's able to pick up the members. It's a mimicked fight of what we just saw before with the Drake. And once again, it was V5 that opted into it, but got caught off guard.
Completely caught off guard, and with this play, it's just so unfortunate. You could see the proactivity that came from early into this game for V5 falling apart.
And this is what it means also when the mid lane turret it was still there. The fact that they didn't come in for the mid lane, but they opted to go in from the long way around river just meant that PZX, he was walking in alone, while they could have taken a linear path down towards the mid lane, tried to obtain more of this pressure, or vision control rather, instead, but PZX just stepping too far forward alone, and just getting caught off guard with the volley bear once again.
And being the tank, the front line, you need to be able to survive a lot longer than that. Otherwise, your team really doesn't have anything that they can fall back to. Like this turret that immediately falls. Nice push from the Baron, from UP. And they are starting to get this huge lead after this game has been so close for so long.
This is prime position for the composition of Ultra Prime. You want to be able to just push them in, poke the enemy members down. You don't necessarily have to kill them. You just need to make sure that they can't stay here. And that's what they're doing with the Equalizer. That's what they're doing with all of this.
Calling too, getting these flashes out of V5. They don't need the kills, like you were saying, Goldberg. All they need to do is force the members of V5 off of any play.
That's exactly what they can do here. There's still 30 seconds to the Drake as well, so they can use that as an exit objective. All this pressure they have just built up, they can either recall now with the Baron, still be ready for it, or they can just set it up here, try to poke them down still, because this is the pressure you get with a composition like this that's powered by Baron.
Well, right now, there is a lot of gold in the inventory for these Ultra Prime members, and they are playing with fire. They're playing into the base of V5, but they need to be able to spend that gold if they actually want to be able to exert that lead over V5. This could be the time to punish if you're V5. If you can find a flank, if you can find these members out of position for UP.
Yeah, but still at the same time here, do you want to walk into them while they have this Baron buff? Do you want to walk into them when they're able to just poke you down? You'll be walking through an Equalizer. You'll be walking through the poke of the 6. I'm not sure V5 wants to take this fight.
They are going to try to see if they can get it regardless. They've got the flash going over the wall. And look at the damage on the Uniboy. He's going to be able to survive a lot of it. But ZS, he is a huge man right there, standing in front of everybody. He's going to be the Stormbringer in from PZX. But now they got the burn on a reheal. He cannot take the Realm Warp away. He's killed off by the Tongue Lash. V5 members, they're split up once again. They've got a long lane. I feel like we've seen this before, Goldberg, with Abyssal Voyage coming in as well. Just now, Bao wants to make sure that he can cut down the members of V5. They've got the Baron buff. They've got 3 dragons on their head. And UP, they don't even want to go back to base before they exert this lead.
Yeah, Baron did just run out though, so that should give V5 some extra breathing room, but at the same time, you didn't gain much of contesting that Drake. You only lost free heal once again. You still lost the Drake, and you're still losing the priority on the map. There can still come the resets through from Ultra Prime now, and they could start sieging up once again, with Soul Point being up and available in 4 minutes as well, with Baron spawning in less than 3 minutes as well. Everything on the map right now should be for Ultra Prime to set up with the pressure they should be able to build, and V5, once again, they're just picking the wrong fights.
It's one of these things where it looked good at first. It looked like V5, they had this game plan, they had this idea as a composition, what they needed to be able to do. They had not a gold lead, but they were staying even, waiting to spike at 2 items. But it was playing into the hands of UP when they thrive, when they always play their best, and that is at these mid-game team fights.
It really is, but we also talked about this is where V5 should be able to shine, but the problem is they're walking into the win condition of Ultra Prime's composition and not their own. What they want to do is either to be able to kite back with the Ezreal or with the Ryze, or to be able to just CC a member down, but you're not going to be able to do that if you just walk into the poke. And I will say the composition of Ultra Prime is making it hard when they have a lead as well, because they will always have the pressure. They will always be the first team on towards the objective, and V5 will always be forced to walk into them. So it's about them creating some creative flanks now with the Realm Mob. It's about them finding them from multiple flanks, because if you all come from the same line, it's really easy to set up that equalizer. It's really easy to poke them down with 6. You need to come from multiple flanks and get one of the members of Ultra Prime taking down so you can win the fight with a man advantage.
But how can they find flanks when they're getting flanked so successfully, so consecutively by ZS? Every fight so far, ZS has found the perfect flank on to V5 to punish any sort of steps that they take to try to force these fights.
Yeah, you know, ZS felt very invisible in the start of the laning phase, also fell to one of the ganks, and then as soon as we hit that mid-game, started finding these flanks, he really started excelling in these team fights, and it's the facilitation for his backline that we've always talked about. He's doing a great job onto the likes of these set picks. He's definitely one of these laners that thrive as the melee frontline, and going into it, you said it yourself, how do V5 find it when they keep getting flanked themselves by ZS as well? Once again, you do have that Realm Wolf to play around with. You can just send in the volley bait. You can just send in reheal. Specifically when you finish off the Sonya's Hourglass as well for reheal, you don't lose much value by just putting him into the team. In fact, you can actually be creating a lot of chaos. So I think for V5 right now, you wait for that Sonya's Hourglass. You don't mind the scaling games. You carry still win out on it. You can wait for Eli's Blade of the Rune King as well, if that's a power spike you're looking for, but you need to find it quick, because Baron has just been finished up here, or not finished up, but spawned on the map. And Ultra Prime, they should be looking at excelling that pressure with their composition, as we have already talked about. And here we go.
It could be the play that you were asking for. It's going to be the Mega Inferno Bomb, but that damage on a reheal, you're not tanky enough. And Xiao Xiao Bao, he's going to be able to cut him down with the Equalizer on top of 4 members to make sure that PZX has to flash away the burn-in from the Flame Spitter. It's golden, they all are, but they're all dead upon arrival. It's a triple kill from Xiao Xiao Bao.
It just kind of felt like a Hail Mary at that point, and Kepler's still looking for it.
He's the one member who is yet to die on the side of V5. He's the one with the damage, but he is not enough to thwart Ultra Prime. They already got everyone that they truly want to, so they can take this Baron.
Yeah, the vision control is totally in their favor, but it is still low HP bars coming through, and Kepler still does a lot of damage on this Ezreal.
But can he 1v5 is the big question. The Mystic Shot! Oh, Kepler, I thought you had it. He's trying to see if he can get the members of Ultra Prime, but he just cannot pull off the miracle.
And that's the thing, 20 seconds onto Soul Point as well here, or rather just a Soul for Ultra Prime. So with this Baron of Recall, they should be able to just rush to that objective as well. And you can see right now, Kepler starting the Recall as well. He does have a teleport, so does Uniboy and Elias. So everyone from V5 could actually join this fight as soon as they please. And I think they're just going to take it here. Yep, TP channel starts coming through. This should be the final fight of the first game in our series.
It's an 8k gold lead for Ultra Prime as well. 32.5 minutes into the game. V5, this is the miracle play. Uniboy is completely taken out of the equation by SMLZ. Only 3 members now. PZX is so far away to try to be able to contest the soul, taken by the side of Ultra Prime. Kepler, he might die to his first death in this game. It's tried to flash away, but he's punched to oblivion once more.
and there's nothing they can do. Once again, they're just getting stoned away with the equalizer, with the Colin, with the ultimate from SMLC. And it just becomes so tough. Uniboy didn't even have a say in that fight. He was just sewn away, not by players, but abilities.
Just by a couple coming in from SMLZ. That Mega Inferno Bomb nearly killing him as well. And this looks like it is the nail in the coffin for V5 in this game 1.
Yeah, it most certainly should be. Baron minions, we already talked about it. This is where the composition of Ultra Prime excels with the poke, with 6 and the turret taking ability, and with the Baron minions coming through. I think this is the last push for them.
And look at the damage from Xiao Xiaobao onto PZX. Again, he's supposed to be the tank, and he's already forced back underneath his fountain. They're getting chipped away. They try to see if they can what final fight back against Ultra Prime, but they had nothing left. Game 1 picked up by UP.
It was not the most convincing early game coming through, but it was a really nice bounce back, and they find it through a lot of this skirmish. They find it through the priority of SMLC and his damage towards the early mid game here, and then of course ZS with that flying on towards the set. As soon as that gold